G'day guys, Tim here, the guy in the hat from Beat the Reset, and I'm here with my very good friend and associate, the Baron of Bitcoin from Stormrake. How are you, dear sir?
Feeling good, brother. Thank you for having me on the show once again and looking forward to our conversation. There's a lot to cover actually. Markets are moving and there's a lot of discourse that we have to unpack.
There's always a lot of discourse, and tell us about where we are. We're at this incredible location, Bish. Where is this?
It's our first first podcast in the new office. We're here on 11 Queens Road in Stormrake HQ. We've been hiring like crazy. We've got about how many now? We've got about four senior brokers on the trading floor now. We've got 30 employees. What a privilege it is to kind of build this business over the last few years. And I have to say a big thank you for being a big part of that because you've been educating people about Bitcoin and digital assets in their portfolio. And we've been playing the catch and receive. You educate, we execute. It's a really good combination.
Yeah, and I mean, there's this old saying that if people don't understand what they're doing, they're less likely to buy. When you see a product, it's like any product. When you sort of go to a tech shop
Yeah.
and you see a product, you think, I don't know, should I buy it? Is it good? Is it going to save? Is it going to change my world?
Mm.
And that's really where BTR comes in. I guess, yeah, that's what we do is we help people connect the dots a little bit. Primarily stop using fiat currencies and stop doing debt.
That's right. I mean, what else do you want to have exposure to other than commodities and cryptos, right? You're trading essentially your currency, your Aussie dollars, your US dollars, your euros, your pound sterling, all of it worthless garbage for real assets, commodities and cryptocurrencies. So it's a really simple trade. Maybe you can share with us a little bit about what's here on my desk.
Well, absolutely, Bish. Here it is, 2033, The Great Reset. This is the book. This has got your copy won't have this written on it. That just says not for resale. That's from the publisher. But this is a fabulous book, Bish. I think it's going to do very, very well. It's available in audio as well as a Kindle. That's the other way it'll be available. It will be available from BTR or beatthereset.com.au direct. And of course, it'll also be available from Amazon. But it's really some of the chapters in this, Bish, quite powerful.
I read a couple of paragraphs myself and my business partners. We spent some time when Timmy came in and we read a chapter or the first few paragraphs was the hyper Bitcoinization
Yeah.
chapter. And man, we got so bullish. Like we felt like we didn't have enough Bitcoin. And I've been buying Bitcoin for 10 years. I just put another 150 grand myself personally into BTC. I read that chapter. I'm like, my God, I don't have enough.
I don't think you have enough, and I don't think anybody has enough, and I don't think anybody will be able to get enough, to be
Mm.
totally honest. I think this asset is one of the rarest assets. Bitcoin for me is a rare digital asset, and people fail to understand. It doesn't matter what form the rarity takes. It could be a rare, you might walk into a bar as a guy and there'll be 1,000 men, but one beautiful woman. Now, what are your chances? That's rarity right there. Now, it's not monetary rarity, but it's still rarity. And people say to me all the time, but Bitcoin's not, how can it have rarity? It's not even real. It's like it doesn't matter what form rarity takes. It's rare in the fact that it's a digital monetary asset. And from that perspective, it has rarity. It has 21 million mintage. That's
Mhm.
almost nothing. The US Treasury wants to buy a million of those, which leaves another 20 million. And then you've got your institutional buyers.
Yeah.
This thing, no one's going to own it in the
Yeah.
future.
Be too
Uh,
hard to get a piece of it. But I think what's also important to realize is it's not just rarity that drives this value as well, but the utility of it all. Like, I mean, again, I can't stress this enough as to how easy it is for people to actually make use of Bitcoin as an asset.
hmm.
Like, just look at this, right? This is Bitcoin on my wallet. It just has two simple functions, receive and send, and that's it. It's easier than managing an inbox. You're either going to be receiving value, in which case I go receive, and then I can show you here, that's my wallet address, and that's it, nice and simple. Or I can go send, and then I can scan away, and now I will be able to get this myself, send to somebody some Bitcoin. It's just such an easy tool to use,
Hmm.
and you can transmit and remit value peer to peer, literally as we're sitting next to each other, or it could be transacting with somebody in the UK just as easily as transacting with somebody right next door to me. So it's so important that we understand not just the economic case for Bitcoin in
Hmm.
terms of why I'm bullish on BTC and when I'm always kind of harping on you're not bullish enough. you're not bullish enough. It's not because of the fact that there is an investment in economic case and rationale behind why I think it'll do well. But if we were to all abandon the fiat currency system and move towards a bit metallic standard, shout out 2033 Great Reset, and we were to be trading with each other in Bitcoin and precious metals, we completely collapse the central banking system overnight.
Yeah,
and that's
the great fear. That's the great fear of the Bank for International Settlements, who's had power since 1929. They are fearful of what you just said, that the 63 subsidiary central banks may not have control at the moment. And let me tell you, having read the white paper of the BIS, their most recent one, trying to work out how they're going to manage and regulate the on and off ramps, because Bitcoin, they've already admitted they can't really touch Bitcoin itself. It's too network based. It's too decentralized for these guys. They need centralization. The other interesting problem that the Bank for International Settlements has got is they had XRP as a secondary option.
Yes.
But the problem with that model is it's called a synthetic model, and it means that the central banks are no longer in charge. In fact, the corporation, a centralized corporation such as Ripple, would have more power than a central bank, and they can't have that either. So they're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. But the best position that I find interesting is that the CBDC that the Federal Reserve is currently working on, they can't get anybody to use it, let alone build a business case for it. Because it turns out that they did such a botched job since 1913 of managing their currency and weaponizing the US dollar. The common man literally doesn't want to touch this stuff anymore.
Correct.
You know, it turns out when you lie to people on a grand scale over 100 years or more, they don't trust you anymore.
Who would have guessed?
So the only thing they've managed to achieve is develop a CBDC at something called the wholesale level, which is not retail yet. So they're way off retail.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's the only other plausible solution, which is exactly why I believe that Trump was very quick to put Bitcoin into the strategic reserve, because without it, they've literally got nothing. I mean, you can't rely on the gold reserves.
Well, speaking of reserves, the US Treasury recently stockpiled more silver as part of their minerals reserve. So I'll read you the
quite a fair bit,
the article. It's just insane that we see this here. So there's a few things to really unpack, ladies and gentlemen. Let me just make sure it's all
That's a really interesting one, what they've done with silver. This reminds me a lot of 1873 when they, of course, under the bimetallic standard, heavily reduced the usage of silver in the monetary system.
Here we go. So Treasury, let me read this for you. From the US Mint themselves. Treasury transfers silver to stockpiles. Here's the press release for you. The Treasury Department today transferred 165 million fine troy ounces of silver to the stockpiles established pursuant to the Strategic and Critical Materials Stockpiling Act. The transfer, which consisted of silver from Treasury stocks, 0.99 fine, was made in accordance with the Act of June 24, 1967. My birthday is June 23rd. There's something there. Through arrangements with the General Services Administration, yada, 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 yada. Look, guys, the US Treasury is deploying capital into what? These are people that can print the US dollar. They can print the reserve currency out of thin air. And what are they doing? They're buying gold, silver, and Bitcoin.
Well, so I just want to talk about that, because the reserves, the silver reserves, 165 million against gold, 280 million. So it's nearly a 2-to-1 ratio. You know, it's you wonder where these guys are going with this. You know, I mean, silver is, I personally think, my honest opinion is the United States Treasury and the Federal Reserve are doing entirely different things. They look to me like they're running around like rats on a sinking ship trying to figure out what to do.
It's because they are rats on a sinking ship.
They are. That was very good, actually. I haven't got any comebacks on that one. So you're not allowed to be funnier than the guy in the hat.
Well, I wanted to show something else for you guys. Look at this. Look at this. I'll read it to you. If you can't see it, I'll read it to you. Another record $100 billion 4-week Treasury bill sale is on tap. The US Treasury will sell an additional, this is an additional, I'm not talking about an initial, they're adding on top of, an additional $100 billion in 4-week bills on Thursday. All of this month's 4-week bill auctions have been record-breaking size.
Wow.
What that means, ladies and gentlemen, for the uninitiated at home, they are printing Treasury bills, $100 billion worth of them, which is just short-term cash, essentially. Who is buying $100 billion of short-term government debt? No one. So how do they actually sell something that nobody wants? They print the currency out of thin air. Who does that? The Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve borrows from the government to buy their treasury bills to essentially the government owes the Federal Reserve whatever interest rate that they have in the short term. But this is what's insane. They print the currency, $100 billion out of thin air to support the government. The government then goes in and pumps it into the economy through social programs, benefits, Medicare, defense spending, whatever it is, $1 trillion in interest expense, mind you, as well. And that's what contributes to the cost of living crisis because all this excess liquidity comes into the system. There's no intrinsic value to this stuff. There's no effort going into creating this treasury bill. There's no effort going into creating a US dollar. It's all created out of thin air. There's actual effort created or spent and energy spent to create gold, silver, and Bitcoin. That's why they have, an intrinsic value or floor price because it requires energy and effort to produce them. In any case, the beauty of these assets is that they're printing, guys. They're printing, actively printing hundreds of billions of dollars that then goes towards an existing debt pile of $38 trillion. Their deficit spending is going to get out of control. And this is not just an American problem, Tim. This is a global problem. In Australia, in our own backyard, we've got $1 trillion in national debt.
But hang on, the question I've got is this by accident or by design? This is a big question because these guys know what they've done this before. I mean, 1932, the US already understands. Ben Bernanke came out in the early 2000s and said, we're really sorry for what we did in 1932. We learned a lot of lessons. What lessons did you learn? You're doing exactly the same thing as you did in 32. We know how that ends.
Yes.
It ends with the collapse of a world reserve currency is what happens.
And it also ends with the collapse of the middle class. This is something you've talked about a lot as well. And
that's a great tragedy.
That is they get absolutely wiped out. And that's by design because for them, if they can wipe out the middle class, and yeah, there might be a few people that kind of see the writing on the walls and become wealthy because of it. But ultimately, what it really boils down to is the middle class is going to get completely eviscerated here.
Yeah.
There will be no wealth. There'll be no opportunities, no nothing, just complete destitution. And they start again because what happens is they've hyperinflated the debt away. They've reset the debt, which is the Great Reset, and they've moved on. And the people that are ending up holding the bag is you, your children, and your grandchildren. That's if you don't make good choices, if you will.
Yeah. No, it's a very good one, Bish. So tell us, Bish, I mean, Bitcoin's been trading in the range. Gold has been going gangbusters. I don't know what gold's decided to do, but it's off the charts. And yet again, we're watching the commodities go gangbusters. Silver has followed. It's up around 41.5 USD, 40.
Can you believe that? 41.5 USD. That's crazy.
It's tickling 42 at the moment. Hopefully it'll tickle 50 and we can go to Phuket.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Bitcoin, what's it doing?
Bitcoin is doing what gold did a few months ago, which was trading in the range. Perfectly normal. We had a huge move up to 124.5. We've been now consolidating. We're trading at around 112,000 US dollars. We know this. Gold moves first, silver runs further, Bitcoin runs fastest. It happens all the time, right? And I love seeing gold and silver running. It's the way the alternative space works is gold is the king of alternative assets. It's weird calling gold an alternative when it's the backbone of the financial system. But anyways, the way I see it is that gold is the king, silver is the prince, and Bitcoin is the dark knight, that comes in and does what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it.
And so the way I look at it is Bitcoin is going to play catch up in a really big way. We're seeing Bitcoin trading at around 110 to 112. I wouldn't be too concerned myself personally with regards to these moves. Sorry, I've got a little something in my throat. But the point that I'm trying to make is with regards to BTC trading at around 111 is that it's just trading at a slight discount relative to where we've been recently.
Yeah.
But again, gold and silver running the way they are gets me so bullish on where Bitcoin is heading because gold and silver always run first. And the fact that they're running as hard as they are.
Well, they're indicators that there's rotation. They're indicators that there's safe haven buying. People are seeing markets as risk on. Bitcoin is a risk on asset, but in a risk off sense. It's a strange one because it sits in a kind of a safe haven area, but it's the it's kind of interesting to try and define it.
It is a risk on asset. So when people realize that, oh my God, my US dollar is worthless, the Aussie dollar is worthless, or capital allocators in proper size want to get rid of US dollar exposure or government bond exposure, they're always going to go to gold first. Now silver is starting to catch a strong bid as it should, and then as the market moves out the risk curve, a lot of capital finds its way to Bitcoin.
A lot of capital. The question is there going to be enough Bitcoin with the amount of capital that's going to rotate? And I just don't see that. I think we're going to, that's where the explosion in the price of Bitcoin comes from. People have said to me, well, what's driving the price of Bitcoin? Well, demand.
Look at
Demand,
what's driving the price of gold and silver right now.
same.
Demand, exactly. I mean, they're all going to run super hard. Gold, silver, and Bitcoin will be number one, number two, number three most valuable assets on the planet. Gold
Yes.
already retains the number one spot. It has held that spot for thousands of years. Silver has been demonetized, but is now quickly being remonetized at the moment.
Yeah.
Bitcoin is a new asset on the block, has been around since 2009, but actively being monetized at the moment. So you're
Mm.
going to have gold, the king, number one spot, silver, number two, the prince, and Bitcoin, the dark knight, coming through and saving your assets and your set, preserving your wealth. Those three is all that you need.
Yeah, 100%. So, all right.
We
So,
had somebody come to you wanting to do powdered copper. Why do people complicate it? Like, dear audience, right? Not the one, the Beat the Reset is the genuine family, the one who's been around us for a long time. They get it. We don't have to explain it to them. But for the general public who may be seeing this for the first time, why are you complicating it so much? Like, we come to people coming to us and saying, I want to buy Doge and Shiba Inu and all these legacy meme coins that are worthless. I want to buy powdered copper. Like,
mm,
guys, what's going on? Like,
mm.
why are you complicating a really good thing? You need to get exposure to commodities and cryptos. And that, my dear friends, is mainly gold, silver, Bitcoin, and a little bit of XRP as well. So, because at the end of the day, you don't need to overcomplicate this portfolio too
No.
much. That's why I love what you do.
It is. It's a very simple strategy. And, in the end, I messaged a client this morning and they said, I just bought my first piece of gold. I've taken me a while to get here. And I said, it's interesting. How hard was it to buy your first piece of gold? Hi, I'll have a piece of gold. There's a piece of gold. It's really, in the end, that simple.
I know people are like, oh, Bitcoin's so complicated. This is literally, hey, Bishop, how we doing? Yeah, good, thanks. Yourself? Good. Can you buy me 10 grand of Bitcoin? Consider it done. Thank you very much. Boom. That's it. Like, there's couldn't be any easier than
You
that.
couldn't get easier.
If you're shy to pick up the phone, send an email. No problem.
It is really that simple. And that's why I go on about the mindset. It's really in the end the mindset that once you understand that debt is debt and that's all you will get, then eventually you'll stop doing that. And no matter how many times you want to fight us and beat us down, there is debt and there is wealth. You can't get wealth out of a debt asset, a
Correct.
DEBT asset. So Bish,
Tell
sorry.
us about, I was wanting to know more about the tour that's coming up because I'm going to be booking my flights and accommodation to
Well,
partake in the country, gallivant the country with yourself. Maybe we can leave on that note and yeah, tell me more about the tour.
There's interviewing the interviewer. That's
Yeah, I
interesting.
like that.
Of course, the tour which you'll be involved in starts with the Australian Gold Conference,
Yes, can't wait.
October 13th to October 15th, Crown Barangaroo. That's courtesy of the very, very great Kerry Stevenson, who's done an incredible job as always. So we'll be at that event, and then straight after that, we're going on the Australia tour, the book launch tour of 2033, The Great Reset. That's the book here. Now. Sydney is going to be the 17th of October, Bish. So hopefully we've got a nice place to stay there.
I might just stay at Crown Towers, to be honest.
Crown.
Just wherever the conference is going to be.
So 17th will be, of course, the book launch. So that's going to be in northern Sydney. 19th, Brisbane, 19th of October. 21st is Perth. 23rd is Adelaide. 25th is Melbourne. So you want to grab your tickets to that, guys. Available on Eventbrite via beatthereset.com.au.
Dropping the link on the description
Drop it
below.
in. We'll drop it down the bottom here. But come along. It'll be a fabulous event. It's going to be basically book signings, a couple of words from the guy in the hat, Baron of Bitcoin and the Samurai Silver, and then we'll go out afterwards for a couple of drinks with the clients.
That's the best part.
And that's the best bit. And we just essentially celebrate this book, which is, I think, absolutely worth every second. And that's it. So Bish, what can you share with us? What are your thoughts for the next week or two with regards to the markets and Bitcoin and What, just share some thoughts with us.
Yeah, look, whilst gold and silver are heading into their northward march, Bitcoin will continue to consolidate between this 110 and 112 pocket. As soon as Bitcoin can break through 113 and a half, the market is going to run red hot. You got to understand that there's $1.5 billion worth of short order liquidations at 120,000. For the uninitiated at home, that essentially just means that there's a lot of people betting on the fall of Bitcoin's price.
Oh, yeah.
And when they get through a certain level, those positions are automatically closed out. Those shorts become longs because to close a position in the derivative markets, you have to take the counter trade or the counter position. Won't go into it too much, but essentially, once we break through 113 and a half, quick march to 120, 120, we blow out $1.5 billion worth of short orders, and then we run towards new all-time highs. But don't expect Bitcoin to march and start moving until gold and silver consolidate. So whilst all eyes are on gold and silver, as they should be, fantastic asset. I own some, I buy some all the time, no problems. But you don't expect much from Bitcoin whilst gold and silver are marching forward. Once gold and silver take a breather, let's say silver hits 45, takes a bit of a breather. Gold hits 3,800, takes a breather, and starts to consolidate, as we had seen when the gold and silver were consolidating. What was the start of the show? Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Right, it was running to 125. Now that they've had a run, Bitcoin is in its consolidation and will play catch up. And that means you, as our investor who's following the gold, silver, and Bitcoin portfolio, are continuously in profit. And there's a part of your portfolio that's always printing you and creating for you wealth. So
Yeah.
that's really cool. Nice
It is. It's a very simple strategy, and the only thing you need to do is have these assets. That's as simple as that. Where do we get Bitcoin, by the way?
Stormrake, my dear friends, give us a call, send us an email. If you give us a call, it's 0385941454. It's a really simple number to ring. You can also email us, trade@stormrake.com. You can also call my direct line, the same number that my wife and my mother reach me on, 0478675399, and we'll be able to take care of you. I'm sure Tim will put those numbers and contact details below, but we make it really accessible to accessing the markets. We also give you regular education, whether that be through our morning note, which is an easy enough read with a morning cup of coffee or tea. We also give you monthly newsletters. You can also call the brokerage team. You know my brokers, Alvaro, Cushy, Brody.
Amazing.
They're amazing people. So we'll be able to take care of you. I've got a new senior broker starting as well, who I'll introduce you guys once he finalizes his training. Is just an awesome guy. He's a Portuguese guy, well, sorry, Brazilian guy. So anybody who is
I do like a Brazilian.
yes, you and I both. But yeah, it's going to be a really good time to kind of get you guys settled in, and you'll always have somebody who will take care of your investments and your business. Give us a phone call and we'll take care of it.
Absolutely. Well, again, another fabulous session, Bish. Thanks for sharing your time, especially because your time is very valuable.
Appreciate you, sir.
Allowing us to spend time in your beautiful, amazing offices down here in 11 Queens Road.
Yes, sir.
And we look forward to our next chat, which will be probably Thursday night on the live. That's it for me, of course. The big news, of course, apart from Bitcoin getting ready to break out, is the book, 2033, The Great Reset, and many, many other things exciting coming up. So as always, Bish, look after your health, look after your families, and
Make
good
choices.
make good choices, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you soon. See you again.